So, hey guys, and thanks for joining us on this webinar. So, really what today is about learning how to read our Due Diligence Invest. But more than that, and what I want to do is I want to take it a bit broader than that, because what is our Due Diligence Invest? Look, it's our London and UK property investment research and due diligence magazine. And I call it a magazine because it's got glossy photos and it's done in a magazine style. But actually what it is it is our due diligence that we do on every single property before we launch it out to our database and our membership effectively. So what it does, it covers, and this is the key thing, all right? Now, forget about the DD Invest for a minute. And actually what this is the distilled process of over 25 years of researching properties, of doing deals, of going out and doing inspections and all this sort of stuff, okay? And so the key things that it covers are this: shops, schools, transport links, major employment, major investment, okay? And so they are the key things to what we call good solid fundamentals. And I think the key here, if you do this right up front, and then you add the second aspect of this, which is the cash flow or the numbers between those two things, that will help you avoid any sales hype, sales BS, sales pitch on the market, okay? Because if you get these things right, what fundamentals mean, and understand this, what fundamentals mean, fundamentals means you've got the potential for growth, the potential to attract good tenants who are going to pay you rent, which is obviously something you need. And then the numbers are going to work out the financial side of things, the actual, how good your financial reward is. But really, the numbers don't matter until the fundamentals do. And I can tell you this, if you buy deals where you base them on the numbers, because the numbers look fantastic, wow, I'm getting this 20% below market value, it's a 20% yield, or whatever that sales hype is, if you get those numbers wrong, or if those numbers are incorrect that you've been sold on, you will pay for it for a very long time, because most property that you buy, most investments you're involved with are going to be over a long period of time, okay? So you have to get the fundamentals right up front, all right? Now, if you've listened to a lot of the ways I talk, the first step is to work out what is your plan, what is the strategy, okay? And make sure that strategy meets the market, both the current market and the market you're heading into, okay? And if you get those two things squared away, then you can start looking at deals. So don't start reading this DD Invest or going out and do due diligence and research until you have that plan and the strategy in place, okay? It's absolutely fundamental. And I think, if you get this right, look, property is very simple. Not easy, it's simple. It takes some time. It's not going to happen overnight. In fact, anyone who says that it's going to happen overnight, anyone who says give up your job, and do this full time, actually there's probably a sales motive behind it, okay? So be very wary about that, Beware, be wary, okay? Because absolutely there's going to be some element of sales. And look, most property, and in fact all property, there is some sales base. Even what I do, at the end of the day, how do we make money? We make money by managing property and selling property, okay? And a number of other things. We do furniture and various other things. But the bottom line is there's sales to be made and commissions to be made. And so therefore, there's a fine line that you need to avoid. And effectively, as a salesperson, I need to tread that fine line and make sure I'm on one side of it. Otherwise, I step on the wrong side of it, which I don't want to be. But unfortunately, in our industry, there is a lot of people who do step on that other side of the line, and they get away with it for a very long time, and they make a very lot of money, and they close up shop before they have to pay for the repercussions. And unfortunately, if you bought that development, it's kind of like buyer beware. And unfortunately, there's not really much recourse on that. So that is why this is so important, okay? This DD Invest and the concept around it, because whether it's the DD Invest magazine, forget about that actually, because this is the starting point for your research. This is not all of the research. We actually do a lot more research, but we don't put it into the thing because basically, it'd end up this thick, So bottom line is, this is the start of your research, And, this is the first element, which is the fundamentals. Shops, schools, transport, major employers, major investment. And if you look at the way DD Invest is designed, it's done in the opposite direction. So major investment, And actually, in actual fact, what we do is we start off, and as I take you through there, you'll see this format, and you'll see the format in every single DD Invest. It's exactly the same. Why? Because this is a system, this is a process, okay? And the process is quite simple. When we're looking at a deal, we start off with the story. What is the investment story? What is going to motivate us to buy here? And that could be a large regeneration scheme. It could be, massive funding coming in. It could be the potential for growth. It could be there's been, well and truly under market for a long time, and now all of a sudden things are starting to pick up. There could be 1,000 different stories. It could be HS2, Crossrail. It could be these major infrastructure projects that are going to impact that. It may well be a change in the local government, or who knows, a major developer moving in the area. There's always an investment story, okay? So we start with the story, and then we move to the investment, okay, potential. So basically, what money is getting invested, both private and public, okay? And the question then is it funded or not funded? It's great to say the area is going to be upcoming. There's plans in council for 1,000 flats to be built, and it's going to be absolutely amazing, and a new stadium here and that. But if there's no money behind it, then the likelihood is nothing going to happen. And a great story here is, if you look at, okay, a place called Convoy's Wharf, okay, in London, all right? It's just below Surrey Quays. Convoy's Wharf, massive. It used to be, I think, the Associated Press site where they used to print newspapers for London, but effectively that site has been potential for, I think, 15 years, almost 20 years that I have been in London, involved in the market. For 20 years, that has been there, but it's never, ever taken off. So if you bought a property there, you've made money, because actually the surrounding has developed despite that not being developed. Okay, but if you bought for that reason, it hasn't happened. Another story, in Spain, I have properties in Spain, and one of the attractions when I first started selling it was, wow, the equivalent of Disneyland is moving there, and fantastic, great. So there's going to be all this influx of people. There's a new airport going in. Well, the airport was completed, and it took 5 years before it opened, even after it was completed, because they couldn't decide who gets the revenues from the airport. But then the other thing is, that theme park still, and we're talking 15 years now, has not gone in. It's still there, the land is still there, the proposal's still there, but it's not funded yet. So it's essential that you get these things funded, all right? So hopefully you're starting to see there is a system about this, and that's what I really want you to get. And so, from investment, we go to the next thing, which is major employment. Okay, what's the employment in the area, and what's the attraction for people to live near where they work? Okay, then we look at transport. Okay, because transport is fundamental too. How can you get in and out of the place? How quickly is it to the train and the bus and the roads and all that sort of stuff? Networks, airports as well. So all those sort of transport systems. So that's number 3 in the DD Invest, or the process that we're going through. Then we look at schools. Schools are so important because that attracts families. Families tend to stay there. They rent our properties. Fantastic. And then finally, shops, lifestyle, leisure, that sort of thing. So what's there? And that's pretty much how we do it. But the reason I say it's shops, schools, transport, major employers, major investment, is because it's easier to say that than major investment, major employment, transport, shops and schools. No, schools and shops, so it's just simpler to say shops, schools, transport, major employers, major investment, all right? That's the reason I say it backwards. But in actual fact, you employ it the other way around. So let's have a look at the DD Invest, because I think really when you get to know this and you get to understand this document, it is a really cool document to get you started. And what you can then do, if you want to delve deeper, is you can go into each of these concepts that we talk about. So for instance, this DD Invest here that I'm showing you is DD Invest. It's for Salford Quays, Greater Manchester, and it's actually a development site called Wavelength. So Furnace Quay, Salford Quays, M50. So this is basically right beside, Manchester, just out there. There's Salford Quays, massive redevelopment going on there, still happening. Lots of good stuff. It really, it was a really, 15 years ago, 20 years ago now actually, when I first started investing in Salford Quays, it was a pretty ordinary place. The BBC were moving there, okay? But even that took quite a while. But they're there now. ITV is there. So there's all this media city effectively there that's happened. So really good news story. But I'm not worried. Today I'm not worried about this particular development. It doesn't matter. I don't think it's available anymore. It's already sold. What I'm more concerned about now is just the process. So if you have a look here, the investment highlights, okay? So this is just, if you like, an executive summary. If you're too busy to read all the 20 or so, 30 or so pages in this booklet or this magazine, then just read this page, okay? And look, you've got basically this is the table of contents, so it goes through what's the bits and pieces. But if we go to the next page, so you've got executive summary continuing on here. That's an ad from one of my books. If you're not sure about it, off-plan new build, it talks about, avoiding the pitfalls and what to look out for. So if you're new to this game of off-plan and new build, then by all means download that, read it. It's free, fantastic. And then what we've got is basically my thoughts and the sourcing agent's thoughts on this, okay? And effectively it's just a big summary, all right? Now, a lot of these times you'll see that I do my things in videos now, and I do the summaries in videos, but to be fair, they'll still be, generally it'll either be transcribed or they'll be paragraphed out of this, okay? And so this is all the lead in. Now what we get into is the actual, lovely photo there of Manchester, but basically the Northern Powerhouse and world-class city. So this is the investment story. Why are we looking in this area? Because one of the big things is the Northern Powerhouse and the fact that Manchester is now a world-class city. There will be some story. Every single thing that we sell has a story about it. If it doesn't, then we're probably not going to sell it, okay? So just be aware that that is there. Now what we're going to get into is, as I said, the investment. So, I've had the first page of the big story, which in this case was investment. This page, then we have investment, and then we have employment and local economy, okay? And this is the format. So you've got the story, investment, employment, local economy, and then if we keep flicking down, okay, so this is a map chucked in there for good measure so you can see where it is. Okay, this is central Manchester over there, Manchester City Centre. This is Salford Quays. All right, so there'll be a map so you can see in relation to where this is. All right, and then what you've got is you'll have shops and leisure and education. All right, so those should be transposed, but anyway, they're on the same page. It talks about those things. Okay, now as I said before, this is a starting point for your research. It's not a case of you should not do other research. You shouldn't, and I've always said, you should second guess anything you don't understand in here. Yeah. So notable schools. Broadwater School is an independent co-educational blah 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 blah. It's like, hold on a sec. Bridgewater School, is it a blah 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 blah? Oh, it is. Okay. Oh wow, it's got that. Or whatever. Second guess everything, because if you do that, you're more likely to filter out the salesmanship and get the actual fundamentals, which is what you require. Okay. So. All right, so now this is just some photos about, so this is talking about the actual development, what it's going to look like, a CGI. And so now we've done the fundamentals, we're now going down to the development level. So we've talked about the area fundamentals, okay? So it started off with the investment story, we then went to the area fundamentals, we're now going down to the development level. So as you can see, we're getting more and more specific into our detail as you get more and more involved into the development, okay? And this is key, because if you understand the concept behind this and the reason we structure it in this way, it makes it so much easier for you to understand not only this development, but all of our developments, okay? So we've gone from the story through to the investment fundamentals, shop, schools, transport, major investment, okay? Through now we're into the development. So we're coming down to the development detail. And as you can see, there's specs there. There's, in this case, there's floor plans, there's some more floor plans, and there's some more floor plans, because obviously there's a whole range of different things available. And then what we move into the next stage is now we look into comparables. So this is an ad about Ezytrac, which is obviously one of my businesses that can do the management. And the great thing about that is we can do, one point of call. So wherever your properties are, we can manage it. Now, funnily enough, we're actually setting an office up in Manchester. So we'll have feet on the ground in Manchester and London, and that's happening as we speak. But what we've got here is sales comparables. So this is some notable sales comparables. So if we look at a one-bedroom apartment, 190, 200, blah, 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 they will be comparables. And you'll notice that what they'll be is probably a couple of below, a couple of above. There'll be some second-hand, there'll be some new for comparison. So you get a bit of an idea. But, and obviously this uses Rightmove in this case, but we can use Zoopla. We can also add automated valuations. There's a whole range of things we can do for you to get you the data you need to start off with, okay? But this just gives you a bit of an idea, but I recommend second guessing and then coming back to the team and saying, hey, I don't agree with the evaluation. Why do you say this? Yeah. Question everything. And if you question everything, you filter the salesmanship out and you get what is left, which is the thing that you are going to own on an ongoing basis. And that's the key there. If you get this is really fundamental when you're starting out and when you're starting to get to know us and getting to know other people, competitors or whatever, if you're working with them. A lot of them are going to have lots of sales rhetoric, but if you filter out that and look at the substance, very few of them will give you the substance that we give you, okay? And the reason that is I'm one of these guys, I'd just rather lay it out, good, bad, ugly, because we work with our clients. I just did an interview with Jim the other day, and Jim, has worked with us for over 15 years. Well, if I screwed him on the first, he's not going to come back for the repeat ones, But the bottom line is, we're going to give you the information so you can then go and second guess it, make it, sure that it's right, and then come back, ask questions, all right? Now, what we also have here is 5 agents comparables. So we've got the sales comparables, and that was 1 and 2 bedrooms over here, and now we've got the rental comparables, okay? So bottom line is, with rental comparables is, we're going to rent this thing. So what are we going to rent it for? Now, this is rental comparables for now, not for if it's an off plan in maybe 2 or 3 years. We're not predicting the future. We're talking about what is now. A lot of times what happens is we predict or we do the research now, and then actually rents increase, which they are increasing in the UK and they'll continue to increase. All right, so we're coming to the end now. So we've got the comparables. Now, this is in particular, this is a Hotspots magazine. So there's another magazine about research on the first. Now, obviously, that's already launched there. But what we've got here is an article too, and we talk about now the 2-year cash flow worksheet, which is we'll talk about in another webinar. But effectively, all right, what we're talking about here fundamentally is a whole heap of stuff about the numbers in the 2-year cash flow, and it'll discuss all of the numbers. Because if you look, we haven't really given you a lot of numbers. The comparables may be a few, but actually in that document, the 2-year cash flow, which is, I suggest, the next video you watch or the next webinar you watch, is all about the numbers. This is all about the fundamentals, the story of the area and the development. And depending on who the developer is, we may have an article about the developer there, but we've got an article there, Manchester, property investment, could it be the story of 2018? And to be fair, it was 2018, 2017, 2016. Manchester has done exceptionally well, okay? So, and that pretty much winds it up, and then obviously you've got the back cover. But look, guys, so that is the DD Invest, in its, if you like, simplistic entirety. It is simple. Okay, and when you understand there is actually a lot of thought gone in this. I've been doing this for 25 years. So this is the process that I follow. We have a whole range of worksheets and we have a whole range of processes that we go through to check information, to get information. And then this is the, if you like, this is the marketing document. This is the thing that looks beautiful, but actually there's a lot of thought gone in behind this that we can bring to bear if we need to on a particular development. And there's a lot of developments that we just don't sell because they don't stack up in my summation of where they are or where they're potentially going to or where the developers are or whether the developers are really going to turn out a product or a whole range of things. It could be down to the floor plans. Is there anything obstructing the floor plans? We have a whole heap of questions. We used to call this the 89-point due diligence checklist. The reality was it started off as 89 points and then it went more and more and more and more and more, and so we scrapped that and we called it DD Invest. But actually behind this document, this is the marketing document, this is the front document. Behind it is a whole heap of detail that Cynthia, who works in our office, she basically goes through all of this and gets things like checking that the developer owns and checking that planning is actually there. A whole range of things like that, okay? Plus we get even more comparables. The ones you see there are just the tip of the iceberg that we effectively screenshot and record because we want to make sure that all of the statements made in here we can back up, because then you are going to make a decision based on this and your own research, okay? So it's fundamental that you get as much detail as you want. But by the same time, not too much detail. And that's why this isn't this thick. If we gave it to you this thick, you wouldn't read it. My suggestion would be, as a minimum, if you're looking seriously at an area or at a property, you look at the DD Invest, because this will give you the summary to be able to go, yep, it's something I want to go to the next stage with. And the next stage really is to talk the numbers. And to talk the numbers, you want to speak to the team, okay? And that really, in a nutshell, is what we want to be looking at and what you want to be doing. The DD Invest is there. We've got literally hundreds of these things, but we do this for every single development or every single opportunity that we offer. We do a version of this. And now, obviously, if it's a hotel room, it'll be slightly different, but fundamentals are still the same. So fundamentally, this is the process that we go through. We start off with the investment story. We move down into the fundamentals about the area: shops, schools, transport, major employees, major investment. And then from there, we go into the development side of things. And then from the development, we go even deeper into the specific unit or the plot. And then from the plot, we go into the numbers that are attached to that plot, okay? But that's something for the cash flow, which is another video. But effectively, all of that stuff is covered in here, And if you look at how my property consultants, when they're talking to you about a development, when you're seriously going through the process of actually buying a development, that is the process they will go through. They'll start off with a big picture and then slowly detail down, detail down, detail down, detail down, until we get to the numbers. And then from the numbers, then it's a case of, is this something that you think you'd be interested in? Is this something you'd like to go forward to? And that really is our close. It's none of this hardcore, if you don't do this today, you're going to miss the opportunity of a lifetime. All that is rubbish. And seriously, if you hear that from my guys, then give me a call, email me and say, hey, dude, go and kick this guy in the ass, because we need to. But look, they don't. That's not who we are. That's not the way we sell. That is juxtaposed against the rest of the industry, who their whole thing is about selling with urgency. If you don't buy this today, I've got buyers waiting. It's absolute BS. I was going to say something else then. But it's absolute BS. All right. So this is the key fundamental. If you go through this, and what I recommend to get yourself started and get yourself familiar and work towards becoming a numbers investor, is run through a couple of these, okay? Ask the guys. They're more than happy to send these to you. Or if you go log into the website, then actually go to the web page, you can download the DD Invests, okay? They're available. So you can download 4 or 5 and run through them, and then ask questions, because that is the key here. Don't take this on face value. Go to the next level. Go deeper into the detail. And if you're not comfortable with the answers, then don't go ahead with the development, okay? And I think that's the key here. It's not about flogging lots of property to you. It's not about take this property or leave it or never, lose the opportunity for life. It's about saying, actually, we want to help you build a portfolio. We want to help you become financially independent. We want to help you create the lifestyle that you've always wanted, And the way we do that is by walking with you hand in hand. Very romantic, I know, but effectively we will go through the same process that you will. And we've been through it many times before with many clients, so we know the type of questions you're going to ask, we know the types of fears you have, we know the procrastination points, the emotional barriers, we know all this sort of stuff. And we're going to talk you through each of those things. All right, guys. So now what I'd like to do is just open it up for questions, and we'll see where we go from there. All right, guys.